Yo, what's up guys? It is MtgGalaxy here, bringing you week 1, day 3 of the Commander 2017 spoilers. And just in case you didn't watch my last video, check out my Twitter at twitter.com/MtgGalaxyTRS, link in the description down below. First thing we have is some sweet new reprints. We have Dictative Crewfix, Enchantress's Presence, as well as Winds of Wrath. These are some pretty sweet ones, and as you can tell, we're going to be focusing on the banned enchantments list today. We also have Herald of the Pantheon, Bear Umbra, as well as Sigil of the Empty Throne. First card we're going to talk about today is the next card in the Storm cycle, Imperial Storm. 4 colorless and 2 white for a sorcery. But when you cast it, copy of it each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. Create a 4/4 white angel token with flying. This could be really good in a deck like Risk the Redeemed, where you're going to be casting your commander 3-4 times over the course of the game, and you can get that many flyers. Especially with Risk, if you cast it for 7, that means you'll have cast it 4 times, I believe. Yeah, 4 times. So then you can get 4/4/4 angels that you can then duplicate with Risk's ability. Pretty cool card, but I don't know if most decks are going to want to run it because of the high mana cost and high ceiling but low floor. The next one is Nylea's Colossus, 6 colorless and a green for a 6/6 enchantment creature giant with Constellation. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, double target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. The first thing I realized about this is that it doesn't necessarily have to go into an enchantment's build. It could just go into a deck as a random one-off card that just makes a creature huge until end of turn. Very good card for the enchantments list, mediocre card anywhere else. The next one is Myth Unbound, 2 colorless and a green for an enchantment. Your commander costs 1 less to cast for each time it's been cast in the command zone this game. And whenever your commander is put into the command zone from anywhere, draw a card. This essentially halves the price of commander tax, because if it died once, you pay 2 more for it, but it costs 1 less to cast because of the Myth Unbound, and so essentially halves the commander tax. This is a pretty cool effect, and I don't know if a lot of decks are going to want to run it, because there are some more impactful cards that could be in these slots for the most part. As always, the banned enchantments list is definitely going to want to go for this, but I think most decks aren't going to necessarily want to slot this in. The next one is Octopus Umbra, 3 colorless and 2 blue for an enchantment aura that says Enchant Creature. Enchant Creature has power and toughness 8/8, and whenever this creature attacks, you may tap target creature with power 8 or less. This is a very, very good card for the banned enchantments list, and oh, by the way, it has totem armor, so if you don't know, if that creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura, so it essentially has a second life. This is very, very good. 5 mana makes something an 8/8, and you get to tap down probably what will be their biggest thing on the other side of the board. Very, very cool card, and a lot of blue decks are going to want to run this because they typically don't have big creatures, and this will make one of their creatures huge. The next one is Finest Hour, 2 colorless and a bant for an enchantment with Exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap that creature. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. This is a very, very cool card. It essentially lets you attack with 1 creature, and then you get to attack with all your other creatures after if it survives. I don't know how this is really going to play, but it could be kind of like an aggravated assault in Bant, but I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up for me. The next one is Dev from SBMTG's preview card, Heavenly Blade Master. 5 colorless and a white for a 3/6 angel with flying and double strike. When it enters the battlefield, you may attach any number of auras and equipments you control to it. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to Heavenly Blade Master. This is a very, very cool card, and it is also very powerful. If you have a bunch of auras on the field attached to a bunch of creatures that you don't necessarily want, you could bring them all to the Blade Master as it enters the field, and then all of your other creatures get buffed +1/+1 for each aura. It'll go exceptionally well in a Ural the Miststalker deck, but I don't know how many decks are going to want to have this kind of effect, because normally you don't have that many auras, especially for the banned enchantments list. There's a lot of just straight up enchantments, but I don't know. This card seems very, very sweet, but I think it would be better if it had an additional ability and was legendary, so it could be a commander. Alright guys, this next card is going to be the last card before we go into some of the legendaries for the day. Estrid's Invocation, 2 colorless and a blue for an enchantment. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any enchantment you control, except it gains at the beginning of your upkeep. You may exile this enchantment. If you do, return it to the battlefield and return its control. This is very, very cool. It's a clone for enchantments, but costs 1 less, and at the beginning of your upkeep, it can flicker, so it can copy a different enchantment. This is very, very good, especially if you have a card like Journey to Nowhere on the battlefield, where you can not only flick, retarget it with something else, but it could also be a new enchantment entirely. This is a very, very cool card for the enchantments list. Our first commander for today is Kestia the Cultivator. 1 colorless and a Bant for a 4/4 enchantment creature, legendary enchantment creature Nymph with Bestow costing 3 and a Bant. Enchanted creature gets +4/+4. Whenever an enchanted creature or enchantment creature you control attacks, draw a card. I don't know how to think about this card. I don't think it's a very good commander, but it could be pretty sick in the Bant enchantments list. If you didn't know, Bestow is an ability where you can pay the Bestow cost, attach it to a creature, and it would give it essentially the traits of the creature. So in this case, it'd give it +4/+4, and whenever the enchanted creature you control attacks, draw a card. Also, whenever the enchanted creature dies, the enchantment creature just kind of falls off of it and goes onto the battlefield. I don't know how to feel about this card. It'll probably play pretty well in game, but I do not have any positive speculations on it. The next one we have is Bruna, Light of Alabaster. 3 colorless, 2 white, and a blue for a 5/5 legendary creature angel with flying and vigilance. Whenever it attacks or blocks, you may attach to it any number of auras on the battlefield, and you may put onto the battlefield, attached to it, any number of aura cards that could enchant it from your graveyard and or hand. So essentially what this is when you attack, you can put as much stuff as you want onto it. This will be a pretty sweet Aura Voltron build. Even though Voltron isn't the soundest strategy in Commander right now, this does seem pretty fun to play and can definitely be very powerful. This next one is Tuvasa the Sunlit. 1 Bant for a 1/1 legendary creature Merfolk Shaman that gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. Whenever you cast your first enchantment spell each turn, draw a card. This could go insanely well with some of the other enchantresses that you can have on the field at the time. Essentially, it's whenever you play your first enchantment, draw up 2-3 cards, and it gets a buff for each enchantment you control. I don't know if this will be that good of a commander, but it'll definitely be part of the 99 for any Bant enchantments list. Alright guys, this one's pretty sweet. Erexmethes Slumbering Isle. 2 colorless, 1 green, and 1 blue for a 12/12 legendary creature Kraken, but it enters the battlefield tapped with 5 slumber counters on it. As long as it has a slumber counter on it, it's a land. And whenever you cast a spell, you may remove a slumber counter from it. You can also tap it to add a green and a blue. I really like the lore as well as the art for this. Basically what it is, it's a 4-mana rock that when you cast 5 spells, it turns into a 12/12 beater that can also ramp you. I really like this card, and it has great lore, great flavor, and I think it's going to go well into a bunch of Simic decks. Alright guys, I know I said I would only do legendary creatures from that point on, but I just have to show this one to you. Hydra Omnivore, 4 colorless and 2 green for an 8/8 creature Hydra. Whenever Hydra Omnivore deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this card. I think it's really cool how you can just swing at somebody and not care, but it does say that much damage. I'm kind of disappointed that it doesn't have trample. I guess it's because of the aggressive cost and the really good ability in Commander, that'd be kind of too good. Slap a Rancor on this thing, couple other enchantments, it could be very powerful. Alright guys, here's the last card for today. Estrid the Masked. 1 colorless and 1 Bant for a 3 loyalty legendary Planeswalker Estrid. He has 3 abilities. His +2, untap each enchanted permanent you control. His -1, create a white aura enchantment token named Masked attached to another target permanent. The token has enchanted permanent and has totem armor. -7, put the top 7 cards of your library into your graveyard. Return all non-aura enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then do the same for aura cards. Estrid the Masked can be your commander. This is a very good commander. It can come in on turn 4, +2, untap everything that you attacked with that turn. And then the next turn, +2, you could potentially get to an ultimate on turn 6. By the way, the ultimate is very good. It's a complete board reset for all of your enchantments that are put to the graveyard at any point in the game. And best of all, it only takes 2 turns to do so, because it starts off with 3 loyalty and has a +2. The -1, I might have read it kind of confusingly, and it's worded kind of confusing, but essentially what it does is it gives something else totem armor. The -1 is very good at protecting all of your things, and the +2 is pretty good as well. It essentially gives your creatures vigilance if you're only attacking with enchanted permanents, or I guess, I don't know the rules for enchantment creatures, but I think that's very, very good. I'm probably going to build around this guy because he looks very, very fun to build around, and I might bring you guys a deck tech of doing so. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And this video, as always, is brought to you by you, the subscriber. Be sure to subscribe to the MtgGalaxy YouTube channel to find out about all the new spoilers the day that they come out. I come out with consistent content and content every day that if you want to drop a sub, that'd be very much appreciated. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment on what you want to see next, and we'll see you guys all in the next video.